Hello guys, today I'm going to talk about IFC model export option in Revit, specifically for origin point. I like Revit's idea to have three different points, which is Revit internal origin, and we have Revit base point and Revit survey point. But I found out that to me it's the best option and my favorite tool in Revit, but many people get confused, especially in building industry. Because Revit itself, it's confusing, it's weird idea, but as I said, it's my favorite option to define different points. But some point, ArchiCAD implemented in 2020 version, Revit for ArchiCAD 20 version has now a survey point, whereas Tekla or Alplan, the other Bentley open buildings designer, the other major software doesn't have a survey point, so they use project absolute origin as a IFC export option. But how can you define it correctly in Revit? Today I'm going to discuss intensively about those points, because Revit also updated this idea since Revit 2020.2. Now we can also see Revit internal origin. It's visible now, and because of that, there are some changes in terms of IFC export. So let's go ahead and take a look those options. So here I prepared one Revit model to explain about IFC coordinates. There are four options we can use in new Revit IFC exporter since 2020. You can choose between shared coordinates, survey point, project base point, and internal origin. Let's go ahead with the Revit file that I prepared. I'm going to remove the link files before we start. So we have this prepared site model, which we can link different multiple buildings on different position at different position. As you can see from true north view, this site model has set the true north, and also project north is defined. So this relationship between project north and true north is also directly related to the IFC export. We'll have a look at the IFC result from Solibri viewer. First of all, let's link our building model on each spot. So I'm going to go to manage link and under Revit, and I'm going to add one of the building model. There are options, of course. We can use center to center, internal to origin, shared coordinates, or project base point. We're going to use shared coordinates. I will explain about shared coordinates in more detail in another video. But basically, Revit has this special coordinate system where you could link between multiple files to share one shared coordinate. So that's called shared coordinates, and I'm going to use it because we already defined it in building model. So when I insert, now Revit will ask you which position you want to insert the model. I'm happy with position A, and I'm going to hit OK. And as you can see, the small little house is linked to building pad on building A position. So if I want to, I can also name it to here for additional reference, or we can also change the position to, for instance, if I change to architecture site B, and then this building linked model will change the position. That's why for me, it's one of the best tool in Revit, this understanding shared coordinates, because not many softwares offer this option. I think shared coordinates idea is maybe only existing only in Revit among all these BIM authoring software. So now I'm going to click on the building A and remove to reposition to position A, and let's go ahead. This time, instead of manage link, I'm going to insert just by linking Revit this icon here, and I'm going to insert structural model by shared coordinates. This structural model also has set 3 different positions. So this time I'm going to insert it on site B. So as you can see, the framing model, structural framing model, is on top of building site C pad. Of course, I can move this one. I'm going to rename it to A on identity file, and I'm going to, let's save this to the A position. Then as you can see, they are aligned within one building's position. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to copy the building here, as you can see, and I can also move this one to the site B position, and then it automatically moved to the site B position. So that's about like, you know, you can continuously copy, and you can also again define this position to different position. I'm going to talk about more detail on the shared coordinates idea in another video. So today let's focus more on those 4 points for IFC export. Before we practice IFC export, of course we can test with the building model, so how they can actually link based on those point. We can test. I'm going to show in our site plan here. Let's go ahead, link Revit, and I'm going to choose Revit, and within these points, center to center is basically the Revit model will be linked at the center position of your project. So it's linked in at the moment the start position. But if you, again, let's try, if you link the other option, for instance, if I go now Revit internal origin to origin, then the building model is linked to origin to origin. They sharing the same origin point, that's why it's dropped in the same position here. But I'll try now another option, for instance here, and then we can go to, for instance, project base point to base point. Then our building's project base point will be aligned to our site model's project base point. As you can see, if I move my linked building model, MV to move, and you can see from linked option, and when you go to the model display, and on the site you can also display project base point or the other 3 points since Revit 2020. And let's have a look. That gray point is building's project base point, and here we marked with a 3D object. By the way, 3D object, I like it because you can always reference the exact information from project base point, does coordinates information on actual element, and then you can reference in other IFC viewer later, which is very handy. So I recommend to you implementing to use the site family in your practice. So that's the reason why when we use project base point to project base point option, they align to at the site model's project base point. I'm going to undo, and let's try another option here. If I go to now, we've done internal origin and project base point, and so basically we did all the option. And manual means we can just align manually with our hands. We should always use auto options if it's possible. And yeah, let's now, so I guess you understand the difference between project origin or Revit internal origin point and Revit's project base point, and also survey point. When we link Revit model to another Revit, we don't have option to align between survey point to survey point, but nevertheless survey point is very important role in IFC exporter. So let's take a look each point how we can find. I'm just gonna remove from this view these 3D object that I prepared, as you can see. And usually when you start Revit, the project base point and survey point, they are all aligned to the position of the Revit's internal origin, which I say start position or point of the Revit project, and I always define them before 2020. I always define them, you know, with a reference plane, because previously there was no option we can display Revit internal origin. So you can see here with arrow, it's defining X and Y plane. That is new function since Revit 2020.2. Now perhaps it's not necessary to mark it with reference line, but I still have kept the habit of previous version. So in this case, as you can see, once they align, you know, we have to define our site position by referencing the civil model. So I choose for now our project base point for the site at intersection point between these two property line, and the survey point at the other side here. So that's how we can see the 3 different points position. And of course, since you know the survey point is you know unclipped, it doesn't mean that we actually changed the actual origin of survey point. So that when I move to 0, 0, 0, 0, that means here is actual absolute XYZ 0 position of the let's say IFC file when we choose shared coordinate option. So basically that's actually shared coordinate position since 2020. And now when I move the position to back previous position, sorry, so then that's the survey point, new survey point position, because we don't want to have survey point to be too far away from our IFC site place. So IFC site means actually the building position where the topography located. And if this is too far away, then sometimes it's problematic to coordinate with other system. Of course, we'll talk about all this detail in IFC exporter. So now I'm going to show another the 3D family that I prepared for this model, which indicating site. So those 3 different position. When I hit OK, now let's have a look in 3D. As you can see, the shared coordinates I marked here with 0, 0, 0 position, and the new survey point where it usually in our civil drawing it's marked with a triangular. It depends on the country, and it's marked as a survey point, and I insert the 3D family at survey position. I'm indicating with the color coding here. It shows survey point relative, and here I'm showing the survey point with a blue absolute survey point, which is shared coordinates basically. And now we have here project base point, which indicating exact location of project base point. But here I just realized the position of the project base point moved to 0, 0. So I'm going to move this one back to the location where it was before by moving project base point. And internal origin point is indicating here, which is about -3 meters from reference ground floor. So we have all different position to demonstrate in IFC export. So now it's the time to export IFC file. So just make sure when you export IFC, your mapping is set correctly. So I can go to export, and under Revit IFC export options, there we should check if every element mapped correctly to be exported. And of course, I'm going to prepare more detailed video about IFC export mapping and layer systems, and also different custom property sets in another video. But for now, as long as my site element is mapped to be exported correctly, then I'm happy with to export this model. Let's go recheck site topography, for instance. ST topography, they map as a building proxy element, and the site elements that I created, they actually have IFC export option that I could map them as export as the element. But for now, these are going to be exported as a building IFC building proxy element. I mean, I'm going to talk more detail about IFC export options for later another video, but maybe it's too detailed to talk about all this in one video. So let's focus on now in our today's topic. So now everything is mapped, then we can go to export, and I can go to IFC, and you can choose your mapping. Revit provide the IFC model definition based on the global standard by Building Smart. We mostly likely to use Coordination View 2.0 setup, but you can duplicate and you can change the original settings. That's which I did it here and renamed to Point On Studio. Yeah, we're going to export most of case. The important thing in here is to look at on the advanced option, if you want to include IFC site elevation in the site local placement origin. I'm going to show you here what's the difference between. For now, I'm going to disable that option on the advanced. General, let's use those 4 different options. So now I'm going to choose current shared coordinates as an option, and let's define the IFC file shared coordinate. I did it before, so I'm going to override it to show you in Solibri. So I exported it by shared coordinate without referencing IFC site elevation. So if you look at the result now in Solibri, so that shared coordinates. Now we're going to open the model, and I'm going to have a look the option here. Basically, we can indicate our model origin by hitting mouse right button in Solibri anywhere, and here you can also click on model, show model origin. Then as you can see, that's the origin where we use shared coordinate option without site elevation. It means that if you look at them from the top view in Solibri, between the 3D family which indicating shared coordinates and that point, they are aligned at the same XY coordinates. But jet elevation is different because we didn't choose the option to reference IFC site elevation. That's the reason why this position of jet elevation remaining at 0 to the IFC site. Now I'm going to export another option in here. Revit, go to export and IFC. And if you choose this time, on the option, we're gonna define current shared coordinates, and we're going to define include IFC site elevation. And if I now export, and I'm going to override it, yes, then it's already finished this time. Let's see. Yes. No, it didn't. Somehow it didn't go. I'm going to export again. The balance option. Yep, I'm going to include. Let's export to the site elevation. Save and export. Yes, we're gonna override it. And now if you look at the model here, I'm going to add models in Solibri. If you look at the model now here, with the site elevation, if I isolate the model, then you can see between these two models, now this by referencing the site elevation, they actually show exact shared coordinates, absolute position, which is 0, 0, 0 of the elevation and x and y coordinate, and it shows the model position. And of course, if you look at from the top view, they are in correct position. And what is interesting with the shared coordinate option is that you see we can show our true north in IFC model, which match exactly same to the Revit. If you go to true north, that position information is exactly transferred to our IFC model. Now let's go other options to export. I'm going to export IFC once more. This time we're going to change the option, advanced option, by disable the IFC site elevation. And now I'm going to use, for instance, project base point, and I'm going to export this file and overriding previous model. Yes. And now when you look at in Solibri, I'm going to add one more model. This time project base point, right? So when I open that, as you can see, the position of IFC model, the origin is now indicating at our project base point, which Revit has. And also you can see but with a reference object here, we can see the extra information which we defined with the Revit parameter. This here, right? We can take a look at the exact information. Now, so this is also important when you look at from the top view. As you can see now, the position the north direction is same as Revit's project north. When I go to Revit project north, you can see there is a project north, and our project base point is origin of actual this IFC model. I'm going to export the last option. So last option is with a survey point. I'm going to export export IFC, and now let's change the option here to survey point, site survey point, and I'm going to export here by overriding survey point. Now if we open the survey point model, we'll see the different IFC origin. So now survey point, if I isolate that, you see the position now, it's again changed to survey point. As you can see, that's the survey point position, and building is I mean the IFC site is related to the survey point position. If we go to project base point, then it's indicating our project base point as origin. And now if I go shared coordinates, then it shows oriented to the true north, but the position is now different. And also if I reference now to the with the site elevation option, then you can see here it's even went up to the. So basically with the survey point option and shared coordinates with site elevation option, they now sharing the site elevation because the position of the survey point, and the orientation is different. As you can see, orientation of the building site, IFC site, is different. And lastly, I think we have one more option. Maybe I forgot. Let's go export IFC, and now I'm going to click on the option internal coordinates, which is new option in this new function. Actually, the project origin define is kind of new option in Revit 2020 IFC exporter. So now I'm going to indicate internal coordinates, and now I'm going to override internal origin export. And let's take a look in Solibri by adding this model. And I think now here, if I isolate and then position it, let's have a look model in model origin. And as you can see, it's indicating at Revit's internal origin, which we can find information from here also. The location of the 3D family element. So I guess maybe it's confusing for you, but this is very good information if you're dealing with open BIM, where many disciplines use different software with IFC model, and sometimes Revit offers more position for IFC export. And let's say we have project where we're dealing with ArchiCAD team and Revit team or Tekra team or Alplan team, many different softwares team, and we could always export exact position for them to use it in their software. And I'm going to talk more about collaboration between perhaps ArchiCAD and Revit based on this IFC position, because ArchiCAD 20 implemented this survey point idea. So maybe with the same model in another video, I'm going to link the IFC model from Revit, and between the building bridge, I would make a small mesh model in ArchiCAD and then link it back to Revit, and we can demonstrate more about those points. I wish this video is helpful for your workflow. And the reason why I made this video at the beginning is because I know it is actually very simple idea, but in reality, in project, I don't know why. For me, I'm working with the BIM project about 10 years now, but it's always problem when you think about the orientation of building or the original project origin point of the building. When you receive different model from different disciplines, that is somehow I never seen the project which match exactly at the same point, or maybe it matched to the point, but the building orientation is another thema. So thank you very much for watching it, and if you like the video, please thumbs up and subscribe me. That would help me a lot to motivate for the next video. Thank you, and have a nice weekend. Bye bye.